Okay, so we haven't got a whole lot of time, and I want to go ahead and get this opened up. This is Master Universe Origins Mekaneck and Ground Ripper. So today is my sister's birthday. My sisters, who are twins with each other, were born on March 9th. I'm not going to say how many years ago, but I'm going to open this today in their honor, in observation of their birthday. And you might be wondering, why would I open up this thing in observation of my sister's birthday? Well, when my sisters were born, I got to take the week off from school because I went to stay with my grandparents while my mother was in the hospital. And as usual, my grandmother would spoil me rotten, and she took me by the toy store, and I picked up the Road Ripper, the original Road Ripper. It was called the Road Ripper, not the Ground Ripper. I'm not sure why they changed the name. And I remember having that at the hospital when I went to see my sisters for the first time. I remember having that and playing with it in the waiting room. So that's why I kind of associate this toy with their birthday. So there we go. So if my sisters see this, happy birthday. We're going to go ahead and open it up. So there's what the side of the box looks like. Nothing too interesting over there, just kind of a rock pattern. Same over here. Not really a whole lot to write home about as far as Easter eggs or anything like that. We got a couple lizards and some volcanic pools and things like that, little craters or whatever. Castle Grayskull's in the background. And then we got Mekaneck riding on his Ground Ripper. So here's the artwork we got on the back with Mekaneck spying on some bad guys there. Looks like King Hiss and Tongue Lashor. And we see the Eternia playset down there. And it says, Mekaneck races the high-speed Ground Ripper to scout out evil enemies encroaching on the battlefield. Modernizing and celebrating the original 1980s Masters Universe action figures, Masters Universe Origins gives you the power to pose Eternia's greatest warriors as retro-style figures or in new action-packed battle positions. Bobby Wald is here and says, what a great superpower having the ability to stretch your neck. Yeah, well, I can't stretch my neck like that, so he's got one up on me, I guess. Also, I should mention that Mekaneck back in the day was one of my cousin Milton's favorite Masters of the Universe figures. So if he happens to see this, hey, look, there's a new version of it. So we're going to open this up. Let's see. Swap to extend neck. Replace with second mantle. I'd call it a head, but whatever. And real racing action. And then cross-style artwork down at the bottom. We got the Snake Men, Ratlore, and Cobra Khan. Rulers of the Sun, we got Boltman. We got Snake Armor He-Man and Mekaneck and the Ground Ripper for the Heroic Warriors. So this, I guess, would have come out during their Snake Men rebranding. But I don't see any of that really on the package as far as, like, you know, Masters Universe versus the Snake Men or anything like that. It just seems to be a standard Origins packaging, other than the fact that it has some Snake Men characters on the cross-sell artwork and on the illustration on the package. You'd never know. So just taking this out of the package, I can tell you right away, this is a lot lighter than the one that I remember from when I was a kid. And I don't believe it has the friction motor in it at all, like that original version had. And it does not have the heft of the original Road Ripper. And I'm going to say this right now. I think just my first impression is that the Road Ripper was a much more substantial toy just because of the heft of the thing and because it had that friction motor in there, which even then would, even without the zip cord action feature type thing, it still like would roll really well because of that friction motor. So yeah, but it looks, other than that, pretty much like the one that I remember from when I was a kid. And like I said, this headpiece is supposed to come off. How do I take it off? Does it just pop off? Yeah, it just pops off. There's a little square peg underneath. And then we've got the alternate head for the ground ripper. To me, it's always going to be the Road Ripper. I'm sorry. I don't know what type of legal mumbo jumbo forced them to change the name, but I don't think I'm gonna call it a ground ripper. It's the Road Ripper. But you can see the console even is a little bit different. We got 2 smaller stickers instead of the one larger sticker. And just the shape of the head. I don't like the shape of this head as well as the original one. But I will say, hey, as a vehicle that comes with Mekaneck, it does seem to have like a slight bit more of a Mekaneck kind of look to it with those triangular eyepieces and the more pyramid type design for the head. I like a lot of the new designs for the new movie that they got coming out. But Mekaneck was not one I was too impressed with. Mekaneck to me looked rather bland. And I'd seen where somebody had called that version of Mekaneck, they'd referred to him as looking like a lazy Spider-Man cosplay. And I'd have to say I agree. So there's what that alternate head looks like. I don't think I'm going to get too much use out of that. Pop this back on. I do remember seeing this at Target a few years back. And I didn't get it at the time because I didn't really have, money that I wanted to spend on something like that at the moment. And I kind of regretted it because, like I said, I did have a lot of fond memories of this original vehicle. But, I was able to get this on Big Bad Toy Store for a really good price. They had it on sale for I think like $25. So not too bad for a small vehicle and a figure. And like I said, I had a lot of fun with this one as a kid. So a lot of fond memories of it. So the wheels do spin fairly freely. But like I said, it doesn't seem to have that sort of... it doesn't have that friction motor like the old one had. Bobby Wald said they are making Attack Tracks. Oh, are they making Attack Tracks? The one from the cartoon that looks like the A-Team van and not like a soccer mom van. Oh, I haven't seen that they're making the Attack Track yet. Although that would be a really cool thing to make. I know that there's a guy who made files to do a 3D print of the animated style Attack Track and the animated style mini track, which is what they called the toy version of the Attack Track on the cartoon. So let's go ahead and get this guy's accessories out. We can talk about those a little bit. And then the figure itself. And there's no mini comic in this set, apparently. Well, I didn't even need to pull that all the way off, did I? Because he's just kind of stuck in the front there. So I just need to cut through these rubber tabs that are holding him in the package. And there's a couple around his wrists. And I don't know if there's any more beyond that. We'll find out. Yeah, it looks like he's got some around his ankles. So we just got to make sure we get those. All right, so there's that one. And the one around his left ankle. And I believe this just around his wrists and ankles. Doesn't seem to be ones. Hopefully not one around his waist. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now we got Mekaneck himself out of the package. Now, the ironic thing, and this seems to happen with Origins a lot, is that this armor was originally designed for Mekaneck in the original Masters Universe Origins line, but it got, or the original just regular Masters Universe line. It wasn't Origins yet. But it did get reused on Stinkor. They molded it, instead of in this red plastic, they molded it in orange plastic. And I meant to bring Stinkor over here so that we could compare, but I forgot. Oh well. But yeah, they reused this armor for Stinkor. and they did that a lot, where they reused, like, say, Fisto's armor for Clamp Champ and that sort of thing. But what tends to happen with this line, ironically enough, is they put out the Stinkor figure first, so now Stinkor's armor is reused on Mekaneck. And the original Mekaneck figure, like, when his head would settle down, it would settle down behind where his chin would be behind this mouthpiece here, and you wouldn't really see his face until you twisted his waist, and his neck would extend. But of course, since this is on a ball joint, we can kind of turn it up like that. And you see he's got those chrome eyes, which is really cool. They managed to replicate that on this figure. I think the Origins version did not have chrome, or the Classics version didn't have chrome eyes, but this one managed to have chrome eyes, so that was cool. But I never got the Classics version of Mekaneck, so I wouldn't know for certain. Anyway, as you can see, like I turned his waist earlier, it does not extend his neck like the original figure. What you have to do instead is pop his head off, and he comes with this extra neck extension piece, which to me seems a little on the short side. And it's got this blue collar piece here. I could have done without that. I would have rather it just been silver. That way, if you get like an extra extension, like say if you bought multiple Road Rippers with Mekaneck figures, then you could extend a bunch of these. But now he's going to have like weird blue stripes around his neck. Now, the good news is, if you get the Turtles of Grayskull version of Mekaneck, he does have two neck extensors, and they are all silver. So there are ways to put a little more neck extension on there. And I don't know, looking at it with his head on there, maybe that is about as long as the original one was. But it seems like it's a little bit shorter, again, because of this blue collar. And I think this blue collar was just unnecessary. They didn't need to do that. They could have had this just be an all silver piece, and I think that would have been better. I think I would have liked that better anyway. But there he is with his neck fully extended. So that's one of his accessories. And then the other accessory he comes with is his club, which unfortunately you can see this one got kind of warped in the package. And Mekaneck's club, of course, is just hollow at the end. This was supposed to be, with the original figure, you can see it looks vaguely like a telescope. And that was supposed to be the idea, is that Mekaneck you could put it up to his eye and pretend like it's a telescope. But of course, the original Mekaneck figure was not that well articulated, so you couldn't have him actually put it up to his eye. And indeed, this one, I think, even like you can't really hit, unless he's looking down from a mountain. You can't really, at least with the neck extension on there, you can't really have him using that telescope too well. Let's see if it looks any better if we just have his head at the regular neck stump, if that gives us any better luck with that. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you actually can have him use his club as a telescope, as was the intended secondary feature of this particular accessory. So that's nice to finally be able to do that 40 years later. Over 40 years later in this case, since like I said, I think this came out like a year or two ago originally, but since I just now got it. And Mekaneck is one of those figures that, like, my grandmother, again, bought that figure for me. She found him at the store and picked him up for me because she knew it was one that I didn't have. And it was one of those characters that, like, I didn't even know he existed until my grandmother bought the figure for me, because I didn't see him advertised on the back of any of the cross-sell artwork or anything like that. So that was a big surprise to find out there was a whole character that I didn't know about. So we got him into the sitting position. We're going to sit him on the Road Ripper and see what he looks like on that. And looks pretty good, doesn't he? So there he is, about to roll into action. And I always thought Mekaneck had kind of a neat color scheme with like the kind of cobalt blue with the red. He's got a very superhero-y sort of color scheme. I know I made the joke earlier that the movie version looked like a cheap Spider-Man cosplay, but he's already got those Spider-Man colors or those Superman colors or Captain America. It's a very superhero kind of color scheme. And but there are some odd things about it. Like he's got furry boots, but they're silver. I don't know how that worked. Did they maybe want him to have like metal type boots, but they just didn't have a mold that they thought was good for it? So I don't know what the thought process was there. Green belt, black trunks, and he's a pretty cool looking figure, but he's an odd looking figure, even for Masters of the Universe. This guy's kind of a weirdo. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation some. So Mekaneck can look up about that far. And when he's got the extension piece on, that gives him a little bit more of a movement, a little bit more articulation to the neck too, doesn't it? It's got like an extra articulation there, but the head rotates all the way around. You can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, but wherever you want to, really, since you got that extra neck piece on there. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they raise up to the sides about that far. And then he's got wrist articulations. The wrist rotates all the way around, and both of these hands have horizontal hinges that move them back and forth like so. That's a cool pose. I like that pose just right there. I like that. So, and then Mekaneck's waist rotates all the way around. And since this is an Origins figure, he's gonna come apart at the waist like that. The arms will be removable. The head we've already seen is removable. So you can swap the parts around with other Masters of the Universe Origins figures. Mekaneck can only kick up about that far because, he is a Masters of the Universe, so he's kind of muscle bound. And then he's got knee articulation that bends about that far, and then that rotates all the way around. And then the boot cuts, that rotates all the way around where the boot meets the shin. And then the foot can point down about that far. The foot can point up about that far. And then the foot can rotate all the way around. Now, I'm not sure what the thought process was as far as having Mekaneck come with the Road Ripper. I don't know if that's something where, like, it's a smaller vehicle, so I can see why they would think it would be a good idea to have a figure come with it. So that way, that like I said, this was, I think, retailed for like $30. So it would have been like, $15 for the vehicle and $15 for the figure, which is a little bit cheaper than you would have paid for a figure if you look at it that way. If you want to look at it as being like, I don't know, like $18, I think was how much a figure was at that time. I think it still is for a basic Origins figure. If you can find a basic Origins figure, I think it's like $18 or $19. That means this thing would have been, closer to like $12. And I can't really see him selling a vehicle for like $12 by itself. So it makes sense they'd include a figure with it. But I'm not sure why they picked Mekaneck. Probably just because he was a figure that they were about to put out anyway. Might as well put him in there with it. But the character that I always associated with this was Battle Armor He-Man, who was the one that was on the package artwork for the Road Ripper. And also was sold, I believe, in a 2-pack with the Road Ripper. So at that time, back in the 80s, if the Road Ripper was going to come with a vehicle, it was probably going to be Battle Armor He-Man. So I got the Origins Battle Armor He-Man, so we can go ahead and put him on. I know, like, for me at the time, Battle Armor He-Man was, like, since he was a new figure that had just come out, he was the one that I would have put on the Road Ripper. So we'll put him on the Road Ripper. And yeah, that That is hitting my nostalgia button right there. So go ahead and put the seatbelt on him. And the seatbelt is made out of like a rubbery type of plastic. It's not, I don't think, quite as rubbery as the plastic that came with the original Road Ripper. And then I accidentally put a mark into He-Man's armor here. I'll tell you, this Battle Armor He-Man breastplate, it'll move around pretty easily. I want to say that like it just randomly popped on me the other day while I was just pulled him out of my storage and walked him back to my room, and then Mekaneck fell on the ground, so I want to pick him up. But yeah, my sisters were born at the hospital, and my grandmother took me up to see them for the first time, and I had this with me in the waiting room, the original version with my original Battle Armor He-Man, and was playing around with that while I was waiting to see my sisters when they were first born. All those years ago, many years ago. We're old now. And I'm way older than them, so... Okay, so it says, Bobby Wald says, what's your opinion if Celebrity Deathmatch still existed and it was Gadget versus Mekaneck, who wins? I say Gadget. He has more limbs at extent. I'm guessing you mean Inspector Gadget. Yeah, Inspector Gadget. Like, yeah, he definitely has more limbs to extend and a lot more gadgets than our boy Mekaneck. But Mekaneck, I think, also is usually portrayed as being at least somewhat competent. Inspector Gadget is usually portrayed as being somewhat of a moron. So I think that could maybe go either way, honestly. I think Inspector Gadget, like, if he didn't have Penny and Brain to back him up, I think that that he might have a little bit of a hard time against Mekaneck. And would probably, if he did win, it would be because of just plain dumb luck, as tends to happen. But I was a big fan of that show when I was a kid. Like, it was kind of a sad thing when I realized, wait a minute, every episode of this show is the same exact episode. They like this, even for a kid, I'm like, this show is very formulaic. I would not have used the word formulaic because I wouldn't have known it, but it was certainly what I was thinking. I just didn't have the words for it. Anyway, Mekaneck is a really cool figure. And I think, honestly, the main reason to pick up this set is for the Mekaneck figure, which is pretty great. I like the added articulation definitely brings something to this figure that the original one didn't. Now, that having been said, it would have been nice if they could have replicated the actual extension of the neck that the original figure had, but it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it might. I was kind of worried that would be something where I'd be like, this figure would be way better. It would be better, but honestly, it doesn't bother me as much as I might have thought. It probably helps that, like I said, it does add some extra articulation to the neck, so you can get a little more expression out of it. Now, that having been said, my main criticism of this figure, and it's only barely a criticism, it's really more of a nitpick, but this is something that would have, this figure right now is an 8, and this would have knocked it up to a 10 if they had done this, would be to have given him some extra neck, at least one extra neck extension, and to have not had this blue collar on here. Now, like I said, the Turtles of Grayskull version of of Mekaneck, which is, I'm planning on being my next one that I open up. CS Director is here, and he just mentioned the Turtles of Grayskull version of Mekaneck. I'll read that comment in a second. But that one actually does have 2 silver neck extensions. So if you got both of them, then you can extend his neck by 3, can't you? But CS, the director says, "Hey Alan, I found Mekaneck Turtles of Grayskull at Ross. Not sure if it's the same mold, but it's awesome." It is not the same mold. This one is much more close to the original version of Mekaneck from the 80s. But like I said, I've got that one too. I'm going to open him up on the next episode. So if you're interested in seeing me comparing the two versions, I'll probably do that on the next episode also. But yeah, that one is a really cool design, and I really like that as like that's one of those Masters of the Universe characters in the Turtles of Grayskull line. I said the same thing about Clamp Champ, but I think it's even more true about Mekaneck. I'll talk more about that in the next episode. But yeah, I honestly kind of feel like that works just as an updated version of Mekaneck, even if you ignored the whole Ninja Turtle crossover thing. Lone Dragon is here, and the Lone Dragon says they said they designed the club so he could use it as a telescope, but his arms don't extend, so he can only use it when his neck was not extended. So what's the point? Yeah, I don't know if you were here for that, but I was playing around with it as a telescope, and the only way that I could get it to work as a telescope with the neck extended is if he's looking downwards with the telescope, and that doesn't seem to me to do much good unless he's standing on, like, say, a mountaintop or a cliffside, or maybe looking over Castle Grayskull or something like that. We're pretending, of course, that Castle Grayskull is much larger in proportion to the figures than it is in real life, because, of course, that's usually how it's portrayed in the cartoons and comic books and things like that. Like Castle Grayskull is just kind of like a 2-story building in terms of how it works in the toy, but it's usually drawn as being much more massive in the various media that it appears in. But you can kind of get them to look through it at least a little bit. It certainly works better, like I said, than the original one did when I was a kid, and I wasn't really able to get him to look through it that well. But usually what I would do when I was a kid was just kind of, you used your imagination. You put it up to his you just kind of hold it up to his eye like that, like when I was a kid. Castle Grayskull is much bigger in real life, right? Yeah, well, you know what I mean. But hey, how do we know Castle Grayskull isn't out there somewhere? Huh? If the universe is infinite, maybe it really is out there somewhere. We just don't know about it. Think about that. But yeah, Mekaneck is a really cool figure, and he's definitely the reason to pick up this set. He definitely makes this set worth picking up. He's pretty awesome. The Ground Ripper, itself, it's nice that they replicated this thing for us adult collectors that grew up with it, and I think, yeah, kids might have some fun playing with this too, but not as much fun, I don't think, as I had with my original. I really think they should have included that zip cord and everything so that it could be like the original one. But I would say I'm probably going to wind up going on eBay and looking to see if I can get an original one for cheap. I don't really even need the zip cord for it, but I would like to have that original sort of feel again, like that version had. And it does look really cool with Battle Armor He-Man in there, which of course is the figure that is in my opinion just the natural fit for this particular vehicle. And Battle Armor He-Man isn't even my favorite version of He-Man. I know some people, it's every version of He-Man is somebody's favorite, I guess. But it's one of those things where it's like, this is just the right vehicle for the right figure, and vice versa. It's I kind of feel like there's not another like you could probably try to put like the original one we're working here just fine, or Flying Fist He-Man. You might have a problem with Thunder Punch He-Man in his backpack, but yeah, the original Battle Armor He-Man and the original Road Ripper, that was the combo that I kind of thought of these as being when I was a kid. So yeah, I just had to put the Origins version of Battle Armor He-Man and the Origins version of the Ground Ripper. I'm not sure why they still not sure why they changed the name. I'm guessing some kind of pesky copyright issue or something. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Next episode, I'm gonna be back with the Turtles of Grayskull version of Mekaneck. Oh, I missed a comment from Bobby Wald. Bobby Wald says, my daughter had a little Tyke's castle. I was about ready to turn into Castle Grayskull. Oh, that would have been fun. I'm sure she would have liked that too. But anyway, that's it for Mekaneck. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. I like it when you leave comments. Leave a comment and let me know about what you think about Mekaneck and the Road Ripper, and what are some of your memories of the original toys in addition to what you might think of the characters in general, or these toys specifically. I don't know if anybody has like the kind of association with like a big life event that I have with the original Road Ripper. But if you do have that sort of thing, I'd like to hear about it in the comments. Or, you know, if you stayed till the end of the video, go ahead and leave your comment about any kind of toy that maybe you have some kind of association with a big life event, like how I associate this with how my sisters were born, or when my sisters were born, I guess I should say. Not necessarily how my sisters were born, because, you know, that's just biology. That's not really in the purview of this video. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. If I can get to my mouse so I can end the stream. All right. Take care. Have a good one. Talk to you next time. Bye.